I was younger, my aunt and uncle moved into a plantation home that used to house dozens of slaves and slave owners. This house is notoriously haunted because of the tortured slaves and brutal history that took place there. There are countless stories of the slave owners abusing slaves and even many dying in the very house itself. The grimness doesn't stop there. The slave owner, an older woman, ended up shooting herself in the head in the very house. One time when I was younger, my family was sleeping there. I slept in my cousin's room, which was across the hall from the main bedroom where my parents were sleeping. I used to sleepwalk a lot when I was younger. I got up in the night and I sleptwalk across the hallway to my parents' bedroom. I remember sleepwalking across, but when I got to the room, I woke up and I was like, where am I? But I realized I was in my parents' room. And when I got into bed, my parents both woke up too. A few minutes later, the hall lights turned on and the door opened. And I saw a shadow on the ground. It looked like a man's body. The only other man in the house was my Uncle John. And so I was like, is that Uncle John? Like asking my parents, who is that? After I said that, the door slammed shut and the hall lights turned off. A few seconds later, the bed rose a few inches off the ground and dropped on the ground. My parents and I did not know what to do. We just kind of had to fall back asleep because there was nothing else to do, but thankfully I wasn't the only one who experienced it, so they knew it too. Another story is when my grandma, cousin, and step-grandpa were all alone in the house. They were watching over my cousin Molly. She was practicing her xylophone because she was in the Newman Marching Band. She had an upcoming parade that weekend, so she had to practice all day. And around 10 p.m., my grandparents told her it was time to go to sleep. Where she was practicing was the playroom, which is the first floor of the house, and my grandparents and cousin all stayed on the third floor. At about 3 in the morning, both of my grandparents woke up to hearing the same song that my cousin had been playing all day downstairs. My Nana asked my step-grandfather to go downstairs and tell Molly to go back to sleep. He walked all the way downstairs and found that nobody was in the room. All the lights were off as well. It had seemed as though no one had been in there for hours. Walking all the way upstairs to the third floor, my step-grandpa found my cousin Molly asleep for what seemed like hours. The next morning, they told Molly what happened, and Molly said that she had fallen asleep around 10 and had not gotten out of bed. It is said that maybe a ghost was listening to one of Molly's songs being played and decided to play a little tune of its own.